Morning, all. All right, 2015-2016 season as I continue my look year by year through the NHL, and we're almost 100 seasons in to the NHL. 2017 is where we reach officially 100 years since the NHL came into existence. Well, the No Livingstone League and all that. So the Metro Divisions won in 2015-2016 by Washington. As you can see, they don't win the Stanley Cup. 120 points for them, 56-18-8 record, 252 goals scored, 193 goals against. For this season, I'm doing something different. Tracking teams that have good records against others. In this case, the Capitals 4-0 against New Jersey that season. Pittsburgh 48-26-8 record, 104 points, 245 goals scored, 203 goals against. They were 3-1 against both the Islanders and the Rangers that year, so 6-2 between those two teams. The New York Rangers finished 46-27-9, 101 points, 236 goals scored, 217 goals against, and they went 4-0 against Columbus that season. The New York Islanders 45-27-10, 100 points, so 1 point behind the Rangers. 232 goals scored, 216 goals against. They went 4-0 against the Rangers that season. The Philadelphia Flyers, 41-27-14 record, 96 points, 214 goals scored, 218 goals against. They were 3-1 against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes finished below the playoff line with 86 points, so 10 points back. 35-31-16 record, 198 goals scored, 226 goals against. They did not lose in regulation to the Islanders that year. They go 2-0-2 against the Isles. The New Jersey Devils, 38-36-8 record, 84 points, 184 goals scored, 208 goals against. Noteworthy, I thought, was the fact they went 2-0 against Chicago that year, and there were other teams that were below the playoff line that did pretty well against the Hawks that season. Columbus, 34-40-8 record, 76 points, 219 goals scored, 252 goals against, and Columbus went 4-1 against the New Jersey Devils. The Florida Panthers win the Atlantic. They finished 47-26-9, 103 points, 239 goals scored, 203 goals against, and they went 4-1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Though we didn't really see that battle, that feud between the teams start up at this point. It's really later on. Tampa Bay finishes 46-31-5, 97 points, 227 goals scored, 201 goals against. Tampa Bay went 3-0 against Pittsburgh that season. Detroit, 41-30-11 record, 211 goals scored, 224 goals against, 93 points. Detroit goes 4-1 against Buffalo that season. Boston, 42-31-9 record, 240 goals scored, 230 goals against, 93 points. They finished below the playoff line. Regulation and overtime wins deciding tiebreakers. Boston goes 3-0 against Pittsburgh that season. So Pittsburgh had trouble against certain teams, but still managed enough points to finish second in the division, and it didn't bother them come playoff time. The Ottawa Senators finished 38-35-9, so 85 points for them, 236 goals scored, 247 goals against, and Ottawa went 4-0 against Toronto that year, so they won the Battle of Ontario. The Montreal Canadiens finished 38-38-6, 82 points, 221 goals scored, 236 goals against, and they went 4-0 against Tampa that season. So they finished 15 points back, but they won all 4 games against them that season. Buffalo finishes 35-36-11, 81 points, 201 goals scored, 222 goals against. They were a perfect 3-0 against Carolina. Toronto, 29-42-11 record, 198 goals scored, 246 goals against, 69 points. Toronto clearly wanted Austin Matthews and tanked for him, but they were giving an honest effort every night, and they gave a hard time to teams out west. They were 2-0 against Anaheim, who are up here, Colorado, who are down here, Dallas, who are up here, and Vancouver, who are down here. So they went 8-0 against those 4 teams. Not too much trouble, but again, 69 points overall tells you they struggled against others. We go out west, and Dallas finishes 50-23-9, 109 points, 267 goals scored, 230 goals against. Dallas goes 4-1 against Minnesota that season. St. Louis, 49-24-9 record, 107 points, 224 goals scored, 201 goals against, and St. Louis went 4-1 against Nashville that year. Chicago, 47-26-9 record, 103 points, 235 goals scored, 209 goals against. They did not lose in regulation against St. Louis, though they did lose more than half the games. They went 2-0-3 against St. Louis. I thought it was curious. I brought it up. Nashville finishes 41-27-14 on the season, 96 points, 228 goals scored, 215 goals against, and they were 3-1-1 against the Jets that season. Minnesota, 38-33-11 record, 87 points, so they finished just above the playoff line. 216 goals scored, 206 goals against. They were 5-0 against Chicago that year. Kind of curious, isn't it? Colorado, 39-39-4, 82 points, 216 goals scored, 240 goals against. And Colorado goes 2-1 against Anaheim, who won the Pacific Division. Winnipeg, 35-39-8 record, 78 points, 215 goals scored, 239 goals against. They did go 4-1 against Minnesota, but they finished 9 points out of the playoffs, which was a disappointment because 2015 it felt like they were finally climbing up. 2016 they had their setback. In the Pacific, as mentioned, Anaheim wins it, 46-25-11 record for 103 points, 218 goals scored, 192 goals against, and they went 5-0 against Calgary that year. The LA Kings, 48-28-6 record, 102 points, 225 goals scored, 195 goals against. They went 4-0 against Calgary and 5-0 against Edmonton. So Alberta did not like playing California. This is also near where the Canucks didn't like playing California either. The San Jose Sharks, 46-30-6 record, 98 points, 241 goals scored, 210 goals against. The Sharks went 3-1-1 against the LA Kings. Below the playoff line, we have the Arizona Coyotes, 35-39-8, 78 points, 209 goals scored, 245 goals against. They go 4-0-1 against the Edmonton Oilers that season. Calgary finishes 35-40-7, 77 points, 231 goals scored, 260 goals against. 3-1-1 record that year for Calgary against Edmonton. Vancouver, 31-38-13 record, 75 points, 191 goals scored, 243 goals against. But Vancouver goes 3-2 against Anaheim that season. So even though Anaheim way ahead of them in points, they did all right against them. The Oilers, 31-43-8 record, 70 points, 203 goals scored, 245 goals against. The Oilers go 3-0-2 against the Vancouver Canucks that season. Not the reason Vancouver doesn't make the playoffs, but definitely showing you that the Oilers had their number that season. So the salary cap increases that year to $71.4 million. 3-on-3 overtime also starts during the 2015-2016 season, and it was so exciting in the beginning. It was so unstructured, and just it was fun to watch, and now, not so much. Video review for coaches' challenges begins here either, and it's only been expanded upon since then. September 15th of 2015, Adidas is announced as taking over for Reebok for the 2017-2018 season. When it comes to making jerseys, as you can see, I'm wearing an Adidas for this. Good eye. I shouldn't be wearing an Adidas, should I? I've been wearing them in the other videos too. The Islanders moved to Barclays Center that year. It didn't go well at Barclays. It just didn't work. The sightlines didn't work. There was a lot of reasons it didn't work. Still to this day, one of the more bewildering decisions I've seen a team make is the Islanders deciding that they'd move to Barclays. This was also the final season for the Oilers at Rexall. And of course, it really changes the Oilers organization altogether, getting the new building, and it just worked. So November 21st of 2015, Sharks player Patrick Marleau reaches 1,000 career points. January 4th of 2016, Jerome McGinley, playing for the Avs at this point, reaches 600 career goals. January 10th of 2016, Alex Ovechkin scores his 500th career NHL goal. So he is marching towards Gretzky at this point. March 17th of 2016, playing for the Panthers at this point, Jaromir Jagr gets his 1,851st career point. He passes Gordie Howe and moves up to third on the all-time list of scorers. This is also the first season ever in NHL history that Canadian players do not comprise over 50% of the league. It was 49.7% of the league were Canadian players, and that number, I believe, has still come down. So it has become more of a global game. It's not that there aren't good Canadian players, just more of a global game than it used to be. June 15th of 2016, the Chicago Blackhawks trade Teuvo Teravainen and Brian Bickle to the Canes for a 2016 second and a 2017 third-round pick. They wanted to get rid of Bickle's contract. The only way that was going to work was if they threw in Teravainen. The Canes said thank you very much. October 6th of 2015, the Leafs claim Frank Corrado on waivers from the Vancouver Canucks, and the internet melted down as I remember it. Frankie Corrado, who was a good depth defenseman, but I always thought there was a lot made of him, probably more than should have been. I think, though, with the Canucks, the assumption from a lot of fans is as soon as a player leaves Vancouver, now he's going to be a star. Which, I mean, hey, in all honesty, that has happened to Vancouver in the past, so I understand that fear. The Art Ross Trophy that year goes to Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks. The Masterton goes to Jaromir Jagr of the Florida Panthers. The Calder goes to Artemi Panarin of the Chicago Blackhawks. The Conn Smythe Trophy goes to Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Selke goes to Anze Kopitar of the LA Kings. The Hart Trophy goes to Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks. The Jack Adams goes to Barry Trotz in Washington. So this is where Trotz has taken over, and eventually that does lead to a Stanley Cup. Not yet, though. The Norris Trophy goes to Drew Doughty of the Kings. The Lady Byng goes to Anze Kopitar, also of the Kings. The Ted Lindsay Award goes to Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks. The Rocket Richard Trophy goes to Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals. The GM of the Year, Jim Rutherford in Pittsburgh gets GM of the Year. Vezina Trophy goes to Braden Holtby of the Washington Capitals. And the Jennings Trophy goes to the tandem of Freddie Anderson and John Gibson in Anaheim. Different times indeed. The All-Stars, your first team All-Star at center is Sidney Crosby of Pittsburgh. Joe Thornton of the San Jose Sharks, second team. On the left side, Jamie Benn of Dallas' first team. Alex Ovechkin of the Caps' second team. On the right side, Patrick Kane of Chicago's first team. Vlad Tarasenko of St. Louis' second team. On the blue line, Erik Karlsson in Ottawa and Drew Doughty in LA are your first team All-Stars. Chris Letang of Pittsburgh and Brent Burns of San Jose, your second team All-Stars. And in net, Braden Holtby of the Capitals' first team and Ben Bishop of the Tampa Bay Lightning, second team All-Star. So, looking at the scoring, Patrick Kane is your leader, of course. He won the Art Ross. In Chicago, 82 games, 46 goals, 60 assists, 106 points. He's the only 100-point producer in the NHL that season. Jamie Benn in Dallas, he's second in scoring that year, 82 games, 41 goals, 48 assists, 89 points. Sidney Crosby in Pittsburgh, 80 games, 36 goals, 49 assists, 85 points. Joe Thornton in San Jose, 82 games, 19 goals, 63 assists, 82 points. Erik Karlsson in Ottawa, 82 games, 16 goals, 66 assists, 82 points. Joe Pavelski in San Jose, 82 games, 38 goals, 40 assists, 78 points. Johnny Gaudreau in Calgary. I don't know why I'd think Freddie Gaudreau was in the top 10, but Johnny Gaudreau was that season. 79 games, 30 goals, 48 assists, 78 points. Of course, the first time I mentioned Johnny Gaudreau in one of these history videos. Blake Wheeler of Winnipeg, 82 games, 26 goals, 52 assists, 78 points. Artemi Panarin for the Chicago Blackhawks, 80 games, 30 goals, 47 assists, 77 points. And you do wonder, like, it's one of those what ifs. Like, when I'm putting this together, there's a what if of what if they had kept Panarin and found a way to sign him, and if they'd let one of the other veteran players go. Would have been controversial at the time, but where would Chicago have been from there until now? Evgeny Kuznetsov, nope. Yes. Kuznetsov in Washington, 82 games, 20 goals, 57 assists, 77 points. I thought maybe I got the first name wrong, but I didn't. I'm thinking of the Svechnikovs, I do believe. So in net, your wins leader that year is Braden Holtby in Washington. Record of 48-9-7. 922 save percentage, 3 shutouts. This is where I'm looking at Holtby's numbers and thinking, could he someday end up catching up with Marty Brodeur? Because it looks like Washington could be a dominant team for a long time, and he could be a dominant goaltender. It doesn't happen. Jonathan Quick in LA, record of 40-23-5, 918 save percentage, 5 shutouts. Martin Jones in San Jose, 37-23-4 record, 918 save percentage, and 6 shutouts. There were 5 goaltenders who had 35 wins that season. So rather than try to squeeze 5 more names in, I'm just mentioning 5 other guys had 35 wins. So we get to the playoffs, and in the first round, it's Washington and Pittsburgh. Well, that's Washington and Philly, I should say. Getting ahead of myself a little bit. Washington beats Philadelphia 4-2. Pittsburgh beats the Rangers 4-1. Tampa Bay beats Detroit 4-1. This is the last time Detroit finishes above the playoff line until when I'm recording this. They still haven't been in the playoffs in quite some time. New York Islanders beat Florida 4-2. So Florida wins the division. It doesn't matter come playoff time. The Islanders knock them out. And that was a matchup between two teams. Neither of them had won a round in a very long time. So the question of who's going to win this battle was answered by the New York Islanders. Nashville beats Anaheim 4-3. What I remember with that was before the playoffs started, Doug McLean saying nobody's going to take Nashville because they haven't done anything in the playoffs in so long. And I remember saying loudly to the TV, what's Anaheim done? So Nashville knocks them out. San Jose knocks out LA 4-1. A little bit of revenge for 2014, right? Dallas beats Minnesota 4-2. And St. Louis knocks off the defending Stanley Cup champion Blackhawks in 7 games. The second round, and here's where some of the other ones I was anticipating reside. San Jose beats Nashville 4-3. Absolutely fantastic series between the two teams. St. Louis beats Dallas 4-3. This is where Dallas doesn't really have the goaltending they need come playoff time. So I kind of figured that St. Louis would knock them out. Pittsburgh beats Washington 4-2. There's the Pittsburgh-Washington matchup. So it is a bad matchup for the Capitals and would remain that way for at least one more season. Then you've got Tampa Bay knocking out the Islanders 4-1. Those teams will see each other in the playoffs again in the early 2020s. Your conference finals, San Jose and St. Louis. This was refreshing to me, honestly, from a point of view that I didn't really cheer for either team, obviously, but it was nice to see different teams in the conference final. St. Louis wins the first game 2-1. San Jose then wins 4-0 in St. Louis before going home and winning 3-0. St. Louis, to their credit, they do bounce back. They win 6-3, but then San Jose goes into St. Louis. They win 6-3, and then they win at home 5-2 to win the series in 6 games. Pittsburgh, on the other side, they're playing against Tampa Bay. This was a fun matchup, too. Tampa Bay wins the first one 3-1. Pittsburgh then wins in overtime 3-2. Pittsburgh wins in Tampa 4-2. Tampa Bay wins at home against Pittsburgh 4-3. Tampa Bay then wins in Pittsburgh 4-3 in overtime. Pittsburgh wins in Tampa Bay 5-2 to stay alive, and then they win at home 2-1 to win the series in 7 games. Thrilling series. Pittsburgh showing a lot of just a lot of moxie there, knocking out a Tampa Bay team that was pretty darn good. In the final, it's San Jose and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh not having won a Stanley Cup since 2009. San Jose never having won it. Pittsburgh wins at home 3-2, and then they win 2-1 in overtime, again at home. San Jose then wins the next one at home 3-2 in overtime because they have to win that one. Pittsburgh wins 3-1 to go up 3-1, but San Jose fights back one more time. They win 4-2 in Pittsburgh to force a 6th game, which Pittsburgh wins in San Jose 3-1. They win the Stanley Cup in 6 games. They're champs again, and they will be champs one more time before this series is out. Letang is the leading scorer for Pittsburgh in that final, a goal and 4 assists. Hagelin had a goal and 3 assists. Phil Kessel had a goal and 3 assists. Matt Murray, .920 save percentage. Though Crosby wins the Conn Smythe that year, an argument could have been made for Phil Kessel that season. Logan Couture, 2 goals and 4 assists for San Jose in what is to date their only Stanley Cup final appearance. Melker Karlsson, 2 goals and 2 assists for Melker, and a goal and 3 assists for Brent Burns. I haven't said the name Melker Karlsson since he left the league, so it's great to say it again. And Martin Jones had a .932 save percentage. So pretty strong run for Jones and the Sharks that they haven't been able to repeat since then. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding the 2015-2016 season. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I promise I won't get ahead of myself in any more of these videos going forward and anticipating what is yet to come. Which might be difficult because, again, these are very recent seasons now. These are ones that I had the channel for, and so I was able to really, do more deep dives into it and really get into the hockey in a way I hadn't before. So this is the start of me becoming THG, and it was a great season for Pittsburgh fans. And yeah, so there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. And the timing of this is working out really well. When I started this series, which was before the Stanley Cup was awarded, I started this series thinking it'll end just before the regular season gets started. It is a perfect way to set up the new season. So that was the long game I played, and here we are. Thanks again for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.